Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, Africa. Good afternoon, South Africa. Good afternoon, Cape Town. We're excited again to welcome our powerful guests from the Into University Partnerships. And somebody from my colleagues was like, what is this? I'm like, we are all going to know more about this kind of university partnerships. But what I gathered is that they are focused on expanding higher education opportunities for students worldwide beyond the United States. I know that they work with partner universities to create a rich, global, diverse campus environment. That's what I have gathered, because as we are working as Educationusa advisors, we have to research and know exactly and know much about who we are dealing with. So it's important today to host wonderful colleagues. I want to greet, first of all, on the other side, our REX, our advisors for Africa, the schools, the counselors, the students, the parents, and the principals that are joining us. I also want to acknowledge the support of the American Corner, Cape Town, U.S. Consulate General Cape Town, and Educationusa South Africa at large. So we thank you again for being with us today. We're looking forward to learning more from our colleagues that are here. Without further ado, I would love to say to our colleagues, could you just, I know that I can just quickly, the names, but I don't want to do this. I'll be like doing my service wouldn't be best if I do that. Without further ado, welcome to us, to our wonderful guests from Into University Partnerships. We are here. Africa is ready to listen to you. Africa, I'm not saying South Africa, I'm saying the entire continent is here to listen to you. So thank you, over to you.
All right, thank you, Mama Alice. Let me share my screen here for just 1 minute and we'll get started. Hold on. All right, you should be able to see now. As Miss Alice has, well, first of all, thank you so much for the warm welcome and introduction. On behalf of Into University Partnerships and my colleagues joining me today, we want to express our sincere gratitude to our partners in Cape Town and across all of Africa for hosting us today. As Miss Alice mentioned, I am Laura Nye, and I am the U.S. Specialist for Africa at Into University Partnerships. I was born and raised in the United States, but have lived now for 6 years in Nairobi, Kenya. Today, I am joined by my colleagues at 3 very different U.S. universities. So I'll have you guys introduce yourselves now, please.
Hi, I'm Matt Zonis. I'm the Assistant Director of Marketing and Recruitment at Drew University in Madison, New Jersey. I spend most of my life in New Jersey, but I've also spent a lot of time in Africa. I go to South Africa every year in March for visits, and I also studied abroad in Nairobi, Kenya for 3 to 4 months as well. So Africa is very close to my heart, and I have a very strong passion for the students of the continent. And I look forward to explaining and telling you about Drew University later on today.
My name is Ryan Saale. I'm the Assistant Director at St. Louis University. We are located in St. Louis, Missouri. As well, we have a campus in Madrid, Spain. Like many of the students joining today, I was an international student. Like Laura, I was born in the US, but I did my undergraduate studies abroad. So I know what many of you and your families are thinking about, and look forward to sharing a little bit more about St. Louis University with you all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stuart Howells. I'm the Director of Marketing and Recruitment here at the University of South Florida. As you may be able to tell, I am not American. I'm from the UK originally, but I've been living in the US for the last nearly 5 years now, working in education. So I can definitely give you an experience as the outsider coming in to the US and what to expect. I look forward to talking to you in a bit.
Thanks, guys. So we have the opportunity to talk with you today about the different types of university experiences, and there are many. It is not a one size fits all because there are more than 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States. So my colleagues today, as they said, are going to talk about their respective universities and the experiences students can look forward to at their schools. We'll also go over the questions you can ask yourselves and things to think about to help you navigate the often convoluted process of identifying universities that will offer you the opportunities and experiences that are right for you. But we also want to hear from you. So please feel free to add your questions as we go along, and we'll be able to answer those towards the end. But before we get too far in, I just wanted to add a bit more about what Mama Alice said about what Into University Partnerships is. So Into is an organization that supports students to apply for entry at an undergraduate or a graduate degree program. And we also work with universities to create preparation programs designed for those students who may not yet meet the university's entrance requirements. For more than a decade, Into has helped thousands of international students around the world pursue their dreams of enrolling at some of the best universities in the United States, the United Kingdom, and China. Whether you, the student, meet the direct entry requirements or not, Into can help you achieve your goal of graduating with a degree from a US university. So Into partners with 11 exceptional universities around the US, as you can see on this map. Combined, they offer more than 1,200 degree programs. So there's a pretty good chance that the course of interest to you will be offered within our network of partners. And we all know the benefits and reasons why the US is a great place for international students to pursue their degrees, even right now. So the US offers a flexible and holistic education, has variable climates and regions, and as a student's life, or has the student life that is an integral part of the experiences. But how do you find the one that fits you and the one that will offer you the type of university experience that is right for you? So let's get started. First, I'm happy to welcome my Into colleague, Matt from Drew. And Drew is a private liberal arts college located in Madison, New Jersey, which is not that far from New York City. Take it away, Matt.
Unmute, haha. All right, thank you, Laura, for that one. So Drew University, we're a small liberal arts school, and I'll get into all about what that means in just a second, right outside of New York City. And, I like to joke around with people, but it's very true that, by the end of this 10-minute presentation by myself, I think you're going to know very clearly if Drew is a school that you want to pursue or if you want to go to a different school. And it's not because of anything that I'm going to say or how I'm going to present. It's just the specific type of feel and student that comes to us. And our three big overarching ideas is that students who come to us for three reasons: our location, our academics, and our experiential activities. So location-wise, we are a suburban campus, but we're located 47 minutes outside of New York City by train. That gives you a number of different benefits that allow you to take advantage of New York for jobs, internship, recreational purposes, but still not have to necessarily live in a big city. The train station is within a kilometer walk from campus, so within an hour, door to door from your dorm to New York City, you're in New York for jobs, internships, concerts, sporting events, all that fun. Now, we also are a liberal arts university. Now, some people, when I say liberal arts, think that we're an art school or that we're all hippie liberals. No, that has nothing to do at all with what liberal arts means. Liberal arts, in my mind, is an educational philosophy that focuses on critical thinking development more than anything else and allows you to learn from a wide variety of different perspectives. All students at Drew, no matter what their major, have to take at least one class in the arts, the humanities, the natural sciences, the social sciences, a foreign language, an interdisciplinary course, a course in diversity, and a quantitative reasoning course. And it's not to punish you, because I know people who are not science people hate science classes, and some science students are, why do I have to take an art class? But ask your parents, ask anyone who's in the workforce right now, are you interacting with everyone exactly from your own discipline? And the answer is no. And in order to be a well-rounded individual, you have to really learn and understand from multiple different perspectives. And we allow that at Drew. Our curriculum is very flexible to fit the needs of our students. We have plenty of students. Approximately 25% of our students have a double major. So that means if you're interested in both chemistry and history, or physics and English, or even business and just economics, you can double major and it's perfectly fine. You have up to 2 years to really find out what your passion is, and you don't have to make a decision until then. And you can change as many times as you want. We've had plenty of students who come into college thinking, I want to be an engineer, I want to be an engineer, take that first engineering course, and then come to our advisors and say, my entire 4-year plan in life is ruined, help me. And we work them to figure it out. All right, college should really be about exploration and learning to find yourself more than anything else. And the outcomes for liberal arts students are absolutely wonderful. Liberal arts schools in particular, if you take a look at the middle of the slide here, have produced 9% of Fortune 500 CEOs who've come from a private liberal arts school like Drew. 23% of US educated Nobel Prize winners were from a liberal arts school. 27% of US presidents, a good US presidents, Donald Trump does not count. Donald Trump did not go to a liberal arts school. So 27% of US presidents not named Donald Trump attended a liberal arts school. And 14% of tenured Harvard law professors did as well. So clearly it doesn't matter if you want to study law or finance or business or anything in between. It's the skills that you learn at a liberal arts school more than anything else. In addition to that, there was a recent study by Georgetown University trying to quantify what is the actual return on investment that you get from an institution. Liberal arts schools were rated at $200,000 more than the average 4-year educational degree in terms of return on investment at $900,000. Drew University in particular was rated even higher than that. We had over $1 million return on investment over a 40-year working period. I can't tell you what stocks are going to be good today or tomorrow, whether to invest in Tesla or Apple, but I do know that I can guarantee you that a Drew University investment will return over $1 million worth of funds in its lifetime, just because of the benefits that you get from it. Right? We're also very big on experiential activities, both inside and outside the classroom. And one way that we do this is with our new general education program called Launch. So at its most basic sense, Launch guarantees that students will have 2 out-of-classroom activities by the time they graduate university. And by an out-of-classroom activity, we're not necessarily saying just an internship. It could be a wide variety of different things, like a New York City semester program, which I'll get into in just a second, a research program, could be an internship as well, a volunteer experience, a study abroad related experience, any of those. But at a more kind of holistic sense, what we mean by Launch is we don't want you to graduate college and be like, great, I've graduated college. What am I going to do with my life? No, we really want you to take advantage of those 4 years at college and use them as a launching pad for the rest of your life. So that when you graduate college, you have a grad school acceptance in one hand and a job offer in another hand as well. Starting your first semester on campus, we're going to put you through LinkedIn workshops and networking and dealing with Americans. Like Americans smile all the time and ask how you doing, but we don't actually care about how you're doing. It's some cultural nuances that we really teach you about how to work well in the American context as well. But some of these out-of-classroom experiences that I just talked about, I really want to get into more depth with you and understand it. One of our most popular programs is our New York City semester programs. We have 7 of them. Our Wall Street program, United Nations program, media communications, art, theater, corporate responsibility, and museum and anthropology. No matter which program you do of those, all those 7 programs meet twice a week in New York City, where in the morning, you're actually taking classes in New York City. And in the afternoon, you really are going to have meetings with industry executives, going to go on field trips to organizations that relate with what you're talking about. It's a really cool experience. We've had plenty of students with our programs meet top dignitaries. We have sit-down meetings with the Chief Information Officer of JP Morgan Chase, the head of BNY Mellon. Our students in our theater program and art program actually put on a professional theater production and gallery show to show students the breadth of what they do over the course of the program as well. So, and even international students are able to get internships and jobs following these programs as well. And speaking of internships, students at Drew can go to any place in the New York City metropolitan area. If you can think about a company with an office or a headquarters in the New York City area, you could probably think about a place that a Drew student has done an internship at. Goldman Sachs, BNY Mellon, ESPN, the NBA, Marvel Entertainment. Their corporate offices are in New York City, so they don't actually make the films in New York, but they do their business and graphics hubs in New York City, and we've had students go there for that. If you're not interested in doing an internship or doing any of those programs as well, and you're more bent on the sciences, we have a wide variety of different research opportunities for individuals. We have our RISE program, Research Institute for Scientists Emeriti. You don't need to know exactly what that stands for, but what that means for you is that starting your first semester on campus, you get to do hands-on research with some of the top fellows in the United States, if not in the world, in terms of biomedical and pharmaceuticals. If you do not know, New Jersey is the home to the pharmaceutical capital of the United States. 13 of the top 20 biomedical and pharmaceutical firms in the world have an office or a headquarters in New Jersey. And we take these retired scientists who work with you in order to pursue their pet projects. So starting your first semester does not matter about your age, your English level, your gender, your GPA, what major you want to do, whether you like Marvel movies or not, none of that matters. As long as you want to do research, you can do research like one of our faculty fellows, like Dr. William Campbell. He actually won the 2015 Nobel Prize for his work on medicine. Now, I can't tell you how rare it is to have a student graduate college and have 4 years of research experience when they want to go to med school or graduate school. But that's a very common program for students at Drew through our RISE program as well. And you're actually going to be able to meet these professors, and you're actually going to be able to have a personal relationship with them, and they're going to ask you what you did over your weekend, how your family is, come out to your soccer game. It's because we're a small school, all right? Drew University only has around 2,000 students at the undergraduate level and has an average class size of around 16 students. That also means that 70% of our classes have under 20 students. Typically, I have a big picture showing the difference between a big and a small school, but what that really means is that you're not going to be sitting in these big lecture halls with 800 people that you see in all these scary American college movies, and they say, look to your left, look to your right. One of you is not going to pass this class, right? You know, part of coming to Drew is being part of a smaller community. The teachers who come to Drew are excellent. 99% of them have the top degrees in their field. And the reason they come to Drew is because they actually get to teach. They actually get to work with you one-on-one. They actually get that type of experience. You know, some of my other colleagues are going to come from bigger universities. I'm not saying that one is better than the other. It's just a different type of experience. I went to a university that only had around 6,000 students. It was perfect for me. My wife went to a school with 40,000 students. It was perfect for her. I could never imagine being at a 40,000 person school, and she couldn't imagine being at a 6,000 person school. But it really is each their own. Like Laura said, there's over 4,000 universities in the United States. We don't want to say that there's a best university for someone, but there is a best fit university. And like I said at the beginning of this presentation, if you're interested in coming to a place that is close to a big city, but not necessarily in the city, a place where you can learn a wide variety of different academic activities and really find and explore yourself, a place that you can have hands-on work both inside and outside the classroom, whether it's an internship or a science program, and a place you can really be a part of a small community, then I think Drew University in particular is the best place for you.
Thank you, Matt. Next, I'm happy to welcome my Into colleague Ryan from St. Louis University. SLU, as we affectionately refer to it, is a private mid-sized urban research university. SLU has two campuses, one in Heartland, USA, as I like to say. It is in the middle of the country. And the second campus is in Madrid, Spain. You're up, Ryan.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you everybody for joining today. As Laura and Matt had mentioned, we do have a nice variety of institutions here today. St. Louis University is a medium-sized, very historic research institution. And as Laura had mentioned, we do have two campuses. I always like to tell students that what we're really known for is balance, community, and opportunity. And I'll kind of dive a little bit deeper into what all those mean. But kind of in a more generic sense, when I meet with students and parents and they ask me, what is SLU like? I always tell them what a SLU student is like. When we recruit students, obviously we have a very diverse population, but kind of a typical St. Louis University student is a student who maybe in high school was highly involved. They did a lot of activities, clubs, academic or social. We're not, like Matt had alluded to, we're not a big party school. We are a research institution. And the students that come here do come here to our institution because they value the educational experience that we provide, which is rooted in our Catholic Jesuit history and faith. Students do not need to be Catholic to study at SLU, but that is part of the experience that we offer, which really is embedded in social justice, giving back to the community, and that is imparted throughout, academics as well, from our highly ranked business school to our research institutions and our School of Medicine and School of Engineering. Everything that we do at a school like SLU is really to, let's say, make the world a better place. That's part of the tradition. So when we think about the campus environment, as Laura had mentioned, it is an urban location. So we are in St. Louis, which is a larger US city in the top 20. And when we think about the balance, what students are afforded at a school like ours is high levels of academics in a larger US city, but not too large where it's really expensive to live. So when we think about that balance of the affordability and cost of education, that location is really important. When we think about opportunities being in a larger US city, St. Louis is home to about 15 Fortune companies. The headquarters are right here in our city. So we have not only our expert faculty, but we also have business leaders, CEOs from very large companies in various industries come and meet with our students. They speak on campus, but more importantly, they come to recruit our students. So it's really that connection. We are really famous for programs in business, health science, engineering, and technology. We do have a School of Medicine, which is really fascinating. In fact, our School of Medicine is one of the very few in the United States that does actually accept international students. But we do require that they have an undergraduate degree from an accredited institution in the US. Therefore, we do see a lot of pre-medical science international students, which I know is quite popular in the Africa region. The other thing that's really important, being a very high level research institution, we do allow our undergrads to be involved in research from day one. That means a freshman, first year in college, can be involved in faculty or graduate level research, which can really help students explore their field even deeper and kind of help determine early on, do they want to go into industry or continue after graduation into grad school or PhD. As I mentioned, we are a medium-sized institution, and very similar to Drew University, we do have very small class sizes, which goes back to that balance aspect. At SLU, you get a bigger school environment, but small classroom interaction with faculty and staff. And this is really important for international students who are away from home and want to feel kind of immediately connected. And that's an environment that we have at our campus. Speaking of campuses, we do also have a campus in Madrid, Spain. In fact, we were the very first US university to open a campus in Europe. We have had a campus in Madrid since 1967. It is an American university in Europe. The degree from SLU Madrid would actually be an American degree. One of the benefits is obviously coming from Africa, it's much closer to home. And also the undergrad tuition is significantly cheaper at our campus there. So that is one thing that's really great. But being in Europe and having an American style education is a very unusual kind of blend. And we're not just a study abroad site. SLU Madrid offers 15 of our undergrad degrees completely delivered in Madrid. So students would never even need to come to the US if that is an opportunity that you are looking for. So kind of back to what I was saying in the beginning, there are so many options in the United States and around the world. There are many schools that are kind of similar to SLU, but what makes us really, really unique is this connection community, not only the on-campus community, the engagement with faculty and staff, but also our focus on community service. SLU is actually ranked #2 in the entire United States of all universities for our commitment to community service. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the experiential learning. So students are actually building their resume beyond just doing internships, but showing leadership skills. We really focus on developing the whole person, both mind, body, and spirit. So that's kind of part of what makes us really unique. So if you're a student who's looking for kind of engaged academics, kind of a community environment, both on and off campus, a university like St. Louis University might be a really good option for you, considering small class sizes, larger environment, larger city, and kind of more economical in that cost of living aspect. So I encourage you to check out both of our campuses, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. And last but not least, my colleague Stuart is here to talk about the University of South Florida. USF is a large public research university. There are 3 campuses, which Stuart will go over. The main campus in Tampa is very large and on the Gulf Coast of Florida. And Stuart, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you guys are okay from Hurricane Laura that has just reached mainland. So you're up, Stuart.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. As I said, my name's Stuart. And I am going to talk to you about something completely different. As we both said, there are a lot of different types of universities. The University of South Florida is very, very different. It's going to offer a very different experience to what my colleagues have spoken about. We are a large public research university. And when I say large, we are one of the top 10 largest universities in the US. In terms of public schools, with just over 50,000 students studying across our 3 campuses. And I know that can sound scary, that many students, what does that mean for me? It doesn't have to mean huge lectures. It's going to really depend on the program of study you're taking. And one of the things we do offer, being a large university, we offer a huge variety of study options, with over 200 different undergraduate and graduate degrees offered across those campuses. So if you're looking for a variety of choice, then looking at large public schools is something that might be something you want to do. Again, with the size and the scope of the university goes investment, resources, huge amounts of lab space, research space for students to get involved in. What you can expect from a large public university is a very diverse campus with over 50,000 students. 42% of our students are non-white, from international and domestic. So an incredibly diverse campus with 147 different nationalities actually at the university. So a very diverse, very welcoming environment for students from all over. And those are the sort of things you can expect. And again, as I said, great resources, great technology, because we do have that investment. We are also, like Ryan said, a research-focused university. So USF is what is known as a Tier 1 research university. And then specific to Florida, we also have what is called a preeminent research university status. And strangely, that doesn't just mean research. To be classified as a preeminent research university, we have to focus on student success, 4-year graduation rates. So how do we support our students and make sure that our students are graduating at a rate that the state of Florida thinks is acceptable? How do we support students to make sure they are getting research experiences, like Ryan said at SLU, for the undergraduate from the freshman year? Undergraduate research is a huge thing here. And that is either working with professors in one of our over 100 different research labs and programs, or investing in your own research, investing time, resources to support you with your own research activities. And in fact, if you start exploring and you think, well, Florida, I'll have a look at that. There's actually a web page that actually has, I think it's nearly 50 or 60 different examples of undergraduate research that students have done themselves, supported by professors, but they are leading their own ideas and developing themselves what they want to research during their time here. Again, as a large university, that means a huge diversity outside of the classroom. So be that sports, NCAA Division I sports, sports clubs, over 700 different student organizations. So a huge variety of things happening outside of the classroom. And because it's such a diverse campus environment, 35 of those student clubs and organizations are internationally focused. So opportunities to connect with students from Africa in the African Student Society, things like that. But also you might say, you know what? I came to the US because I didn't want to speak to students from Africa. I want to speak to American students and get involved in other activities. Those opportunities are absolutely there for you on one of these big campus environments. So the Tampa campus, that is home to the majority of our students. So 42,000 students call Tampa home. So this is definitely the sort of place where, I'm going to be honest, you use the bus, you use a bike, you use a skateboard to get around. It's a significantly sized campus environment. It's also going to be home to most of our 13 different colleges. So we mentioned the variety of programs, 13 colleges. So that variety, all our programs offered in Tampa. But it is not our only campus. We do have 2 other locations that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about in a moment if the slide changes.
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
It was stuck.
So being a large public, we do have a variety of experiences within the same university, offering the same opportunities to students, no matter what you're looking for. So St. Petersburg, about 40 minutes to an hour away from Tampa. If you're looking for a beachfront location, beautiful campus, opportunities to go sailing from the rec center, this is the place for you. Smaller, about 4,000 students study here, so that's slightly different environment, very much focused in specific areas, home to our marine science, entrepreneurship programs, and through our links with the St. Petersburg Innovation District, one of the things we can do is set students up if entrepreneurship is something you're interested in. If you're looking at starting your own business, somewhere like USF, we're a relatively young university, quite dynamic. So alongside the research, that idea of entrepreneurship and support for students starting businesses, that is a huge part of what we do as an institution, really getting people set up. And then our final campus, Sarasota, much smaller, about 2,000 students. So, you know, like Matt talked about with Drew, very personalized experience, smaller number of programs, so not the diversity of programs that we have across our other campuses, but does offer that more personalized approach in a much smaller environment. And if you look at the size of our campuses in terms of just acres, Sarasota is, you don't even need a bike to get around. You can walk everywhere on that campus. So very different experiences across. And again, because we're a different type of university, a different type of experience, it's going to be very different to what you see across the Drews and the St. Louis's of the world. But that is USF, that is the experience of a large public. I'm going to be honest, I said I'm from the UK originally. I had, I guess, opinions, thoughts on what the US education system was. USF is definitely at the loud, brash, big, in your face, maybe the things you have seen in the films kind of experiences. Although we don't say person to your left, person to your right is going to fail. We don't do that. But, you know, a fantastic experience nonetheless. But as my colleagues have said, it could be right, it could be wrong. You've got to choose what works for you.
Great, thank you, Stuart and Matt and Ryan, I appreciate it. I go back to the type of university experience that I had a long time ago. I went to a university that had 10,000 students and that felt right to me. I was able to, you know, get to know some of my professors. I had to work a little bit harder to get to know some of the others, but I also changed my major 9 times. My parents were ready to, as they say in Kenya, chapa me. So Anyways, we have today learned about 3 very different US universities, all located in 3 very different regions, offering different sized campus communities, including the number of students enrolled, the physical size of the campus, and the broader community, of course. So how can you find the type of university experience that will fit you? And I like to ask students to think about, and then of course, ask themselves these questions. How do you learn best? How do I learn best? Are you an individual learner or someone who learns not only by reading, but by talking with the professor and other students who are in the classroom? Also, get to know your academic capabilities and be honest with yourself. Do you want to be competing for the top spot and your professor's attention, for example? Do you want to be in an environment where you'll collaborate with all of your peers? You want to be challenged, and you will be challenged at university, but you don't want it to be an academic struggle. And I go off, if you want to start your first year or 2 in a smaller classroom environment with a bit more support as you assimilate to life in the United States and the rigors of university courses, you might be interested in starting with the pathway program that's offered through Into, which is built into the degree requirements. And all 3 of the universities that spoke today, as well as the full 11 partner network, offers pathway programs for students. Also ask yourself, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? Whether that's sports or theater, music, art, speech, debate. If you want to engage in research, all of the universities that have spoken today offer research opportunities for first-year students. Participating in internships or joining cultural or service learning opportunities. Make sure your university offers the activities that are of interest to you, not just your course or your major. And then which environment is going to help you thrive? Will it be urban or suburban, in the woods with easy access to a major metropolis without the major distractions? And then think about the weather and the climates. I talk with a number of students who want to experience 4 seasons and others who want warm weather all year long. While I think weather can sometimes be a silly reason to discount a university, I do understand that brutal winters with sub-zero temps, which is what I experienced living in the upper Midwest and growing up there, can be really hard for someone who lives on the equator, for example, or someone who comes from South Africa with much more mild winters. Fortunately, the universities within Intu's network are not in the coldest parts of America. So also ask yourself, what can you afford to pay? I would be remiss if I did not talk about the realities of the costs of studying in the United States. Certain schools do have a higher sticker price, such as Drew and St. Louis, but scholarships are available for students across the African continent. Intu's partners all offer merit scholarships to qualifying international students, but it is important to be realistic and to have that candid conversation in the beginning with your family or your sponsor about what the maximum amount of money is your family can afford to pay per year, and then work backwards. Ryan, Matt, and Stuart, can you think of any other questions students might ask themselves? No, you're good? All right, and then once you've asked yourself those questions, dig into the research of exploring university campuses, and I think that's the fun part. For example, get to know the college's academic personality and how it meshes with what you want. Are you looking for research-driven institutions or small discussion-based classes, a thriving art scene, a university with a religious affiliation that may be integrated into some of your courses, or maybe all of the above? Another strategy is to consider what your end goal is or your career goal is and work backwards. What is your dream job? What problem do you want to solve in the world today? That kind of thing. And then find out who some of the top professionals are in that field and find out what they studied. Then look at the on-campus facilities and amenities, but go beyond the dining center and the fitness facilities. Of course, you want to make sure that the dining halls or the dining facility is going to accommodate your special diet if you're vegan or gluten-free, for example. And you want to make sure the fitness facility has a good treadmill so you can work off that freshman 15 or the freshman 7 kg, for example, because that is real. But also look at the labs, the art studios, and any other academic resources to make sure that they are up to date and well equipped. Experience with the latest technology will always serve you well. And also look at the residential halls. You are going to be a student for 4 years. You may not live in the residence halls for 4 years, but look at what are the communities that are available to you. Can you live in housing on campus for students within the same major, for example? Students who have the same interests. Do you want a co-ed or a single gendered floor? Those kinds of things. So take a look at those. Any other tips to share, Stuart, Ryan, Matt?
The only other thing I would add is when you've selected 1, 2, 5, or 10 schools, that try to connect with the admissions office and even more deeply try to connect with current students that maybe study a degree that you're interested in. Because Matt, Stuart, and myself we're not students any longer. And the world has probably changed a little bit since the three of us have been in school. While we know our institutions very, very well and everything that they offer, that current student experience is so paramount to kind of understand kind of the day-to-day. And I think that is oftentimes where a student can kind of make their decision on, do they connect, do they identify with that individual that they talk to or that experience? So that's the only other thing that I would probably add is connecting with current students.
I think one thing in particular is, I alluded to it before, is just knowing exactly what is important to you in a university. I mean, I know Laura's did a good job of explaining lots of different things that kind of play out there, but even if you go to the #1 ranked university in the United States, if the type of, I think right now it's MIT these days, if the type of environment that is there and kind of what goes along with going to a school like that doesn't fit your personality, it doesn't matter what school you go to, you're gonna not succeed. I think going to a university in particular is an investment in yourself more than anything else. And in order to kind of return the investment, rather than just paying for a degree, you want to be in a place where you're comfortable, where you feel right. And if you are dealing with parents who kind of have an idea that you must go to the #1 or 2 school and every other school doesn't matter, Ryan, myself, Stuart, other university representatives from around the United States have lots of familiarity dealing with this, and we're more than happy to help talk to both you and your parents to explain kind of these concepts to them as well. Trust me, we have a lot of experience with parents and students from around the world who would not be the first and you won't be the last who comes to us with these questions. So we're more than happy to help out as well if you have any further questions or any stereotypes or misunderstandings that might be present that we can kind of help to dispel for you.
Well, and I think to that point, Matt, I think one thing that's really important when you are interacting with an institution, really being honest is about who you are and what you are looking for, because that helps individuals like Matt, Stuart, and I. If you say something to me, say, oh, I really, I don't want to be in a bigger city and that's really important to me. Well, if I know that, I would probably say maybe my institution's not the best fit for you, but have you thought about these other places? Because there are so many options. We know our institutions so well, but we also know the type of student who wouldn't do well or be the best fit for our school. Because ultimately, working in admissions, we want to make sure we get the fit right so that our students are successful. So really everything that we do is for our students and their future success. So kind of thinking through these questions Laura had presented helps you communicate with the institutions and finding that right fit. And we talk about fit all the time, but it really does make an impact. So that, maybe you don't get the major right, but you get the institution right. Because the worst thing to do is kind of move after a semester or a year because like, wow, this isn't what I expected, because maybe you lean too heavily on only the ranking, but no other factor.
And ranking's a good point. Stuart, do you want to touch on the rankings?
Ooh, my favorite subject. We know that international students, you have to look at rankings because you have very little starting points to get you started. How do I start to identify these? Couple of things I really want, when I talk to students who are saying I only want to go to a top 10 school, Matt alluded to it. It might be a top 10 school. It might be a terrible choice for you if you don't fit in that environment, if the size of the institution or the way they teach doesn't work for you. So please, I always say you just look beyond the rankings. Look at all the things that Laura, Ryan and Matt have spoken about student experience, resources, access to the things that make a research university a top ranked institution. I'm gonna talk about the UK for a second here. But I know there's a top ranked law school in the UK. Everyone wants to go there. It's amazing. You can't get to those professors that make it a top ranked university because they live behind a little locked door that you can't get through as a student, as an undergraduate. Whereas if you go to the school around the corner that's not the top ranked, which okay is medium, you can walk into your professor's office and have immediate access to them. So it's not all about that ranking, that name recognition, it's about the student experience. And I always get asked, well, what's the official ranking? I don't know. Anyone else know what the official ranking is? There are no official. All of these rankings are done by newspapers and by advertising organizations. And so you have to take it with a little pinch of salt and really drill down. And if you are going to use rankings, don't just look at our overall ranking. You know, all of our universities have a overall ranking for the type of institution we are: national, regional, liberal arts. That doesn't tell the whole story. Again, I used to work in an institution that it was an okay ranking, it wasn't great, but for one subject, it was the #1 place in the country to study that specific subject. And if you only looked at the national rankings, you would never know that. So it's about drilling down, understanding what it's telling you, and not looking at that alone, because there is so much more to an institution than a number. Did I miss anything, Ryan, Matt?
No, I think I'll jump in. I think rankings is a story for another day, a topic for another day, and a good one for Miss Alice maybe to pursue. So the last thing that I want to talk about is follow your universities of interest on social media. Get to know them. This is the 3 universities that have presented today, and their kind of big 4 social media platforms. But also check out the virtual tours that are available to all of you on the university's websites. Those are pretty easy to follow. And then there's something called the Access Platform, TAP. It's an app that students can download. A lot of universities are now utilizing this as a way to engage with students virtually, because they can't travel necessarily. So definitely get to know your universities, like, subscribe, follow, etc. I'm kind of a geriatric millennial, so I'm a Facebook user and learning Instagram right now. But get to know those universities on the social media platforms. So there you have it. I hope that we've been able to provide you with a bit more information about how to find the university experience that will be the right fit for you. And I also hope that you've learned a little bit about three very special and very unique universities within Intu's portfolio. So Miss Alice, back to you now.
Wow, thank you so much. This is amazing. It's like now I forgot that I'm here. I'm just taking notes. I'm wondering if I'm not one of those who are traveling to study in the United States. There's something that I forgot to mention. What I'm seeing, Matt, you did your research that you are going to present to South Africa. You started by wearing our jersey, our Springbok jersey. So yeah, that is showing us that you knew where you were going. You didn't need a flight to get to South Africa. You said, I know that I'm going to be coming to South Africa. So we are very, very happy about that. Another thing for you, Matt, before the question that I have here, is New Jersey, we just hosted Study New Jersey in a couple of weeks. So they say better late than never. So you joined with another crew, but you already landed. Thank you for that. And bringing such an information to us that is very, very important about liberal arts institutions. And it's very, very important to know more about that. And the testimony from Chipiwa, a student who studied at your school, is very, very important. Our students always want to hear from the other student who was once in the particular university. Thank you for bringing that up. I took that a testimony about the student who studied there, how she was so excited about what was going on. Thank you for adding that. Ryan, the aviation that you mentioned here, we have a lot of questions about aviation. You also mentioned something about experiential learning and all that. We truly appreciate that. And you coming from the state that I mentioned earlier on, you mentioned that St. Louis University, when you say Spain or you say in the US, same to me, because I'm so moved. That is the first state I've ever seen in my life in the United States. I remember the art, I remember the people, I remember the food, I remember my students that I'm still connected to as I'm in South Africa. Most of them have graduated. I know what they are going on. We keep on connecting on Facebook. Thank you for bringing good options for our students here. For Stuart, I was amazed when I saw about 42,000 students. Wow. Then thank you by comparing by St. Petersburg, which was a little bit lower, but 42,000, and I looked at a student faculty ratio was still 21:1. That is good. It's not like we're having 100 students in one classroom. So it means you cater for our students very, very well. They mustn't be so overwhelmed when they hear about 42,000 students in that. So the ratio is still good for them to listen and connect with the professors. That's a good one. And I heard about the co-op program that you talk about. It's very, very important for us. I'm hoping our students are getting something from these programs. And some of the advisors ahead of time, they asked something about the graduate programs. I heard that we have about 29 graduate programs. It means that it's just a variety because you know you want to cater for so many students who appreciate that. And I was so surprised when I'm hearing a lot of look beyond the ranking because you can see that Stuart is excited about the topic about ranking. Said, ranking? What ranking? Because are we listening from the people who are doing something or from the newspaper? You are helping us because we are busy trying to change the mindset of our students to say instead, now we are having a topic that is important today. The university experience, we're talking about the right fit, the best fit, rather than to say, where is this school in ranking? Who did that ranking? You made us to reflect and think about what is it about this ranking? We had a lot of variety right here. So this is so amazing. And Laura, it's important that you, even though you said you studied a couple of years ago, you had about 10,000 students and all that, you are still in tune. You talked a lot about that, talking about research. Research is very, very important. I think all of you guys, you mentioned about that research. And I'm hearing you talked about student life as well. It's important that we check that. And from all of you, I'm hearing this part of, does the school fit your personality? Oh, that question is just set on me so strong, was like engraved. Because we talk a lot about right fit and we connect to academic, personal, and financial needs. Our students now, they need to hear from the schools themselves to say, it's of no use to look at ranking, forgetting who you are. And I heard about Florida, that is like a beachfront location. So Capetonians, consider that when you are, because that's where we are now. We're not on land, we've got, we're surrounded by that. So that's what you could consider. There is a question for you. I'm excited with the presentation. I don't know how you manage to put together so much in such, but by the way, why am I asking? I'm dealing with the marketers here. You recruit African students. You've got a specific way of reaching us. You don't want us to sleep before we get up. You nail what you want to nail, and you did well. There is a student by the name Muhammad Nawid, who is a South African student, wants to do PhD, just need an advice here. He's asking, are there any opportunities like called sandwich-like program where a South African university can collaborate with a US university and the student is studying in kind of both? Do we have anything like that?
I mean, typically—
I'll throw that on the floor, yes.
Yeah, typically at the institutional level, that would be between their home institutions. So I would recommend that student check with their faculty and staff to see if they have any international agreements. At the PhD level, if the student has funding, by chance, it may depend on the department. So I would recommend they, number one, check with their home institution for international agreements. And then two, depending on the field of study, identify, whatever country they want to go to. If it's the US, maybe the schools that they're most interested in based off of the research and the faculty capabilities to see, do they have funding available? Do they not? That would probably be the two things that I would do first. But typically those are kind of interinstitutional agreements.
And I will say, because he's putting his question what his field of study is, he is looking for something very specialized that actually only a handful of universities in the US would actually be, I think, legally able to do. So it's a very narrow field, so he's going to be limited in terms of the universities. I would imagine that if he's doing that, his institution will know which universities and may even be already talking to the universities in the US that are researching in that field. So yeah, it would be a conversation to have with his current institution.
That makes so much sense because I know of universities as well from South Africa that are already doing something like that. But I hear from your side it's mostly study abroad program than this collaboration like that is full-time. I know from the US side, some universities would be collaborating among themselves on one side, that is the US side. But thank you so much for that. There is another student who's thinking about the on-campus job opportunities that you offer. He wants to say, is there anything like that that you offer on campus and this looks like it's a graduate student.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm imagining for all our institutions, and Ryan and Matt can correct me, but yeah, we will have, if they're graduate students, then yes, graduate teaching assistantships and graduate research assistantships, opportunities, working in departments amongst, that's just one type of job opportunity. Depending on the size and scale of the campus, there will be, a variety of on-campus work opportunities for students. Depending on what they're interested in and what sort of opportunities they're looking for.
Yeah. We've had lots of international students work on campus. Legally, you're allowed 20 hours a week during the school year of on-campus work because of the F1 visa. I know the student mentioned tutoring in particular. We have a center on campus called the Center for Academic Excellence. Corny name, but it's free for all students. And essentially, this allows students to get one-on-one personal tutoring for every hour that they're in class. They get 2 hours of tutoring, and a lot of our international students have gone on to actually be native language tutors for our Chinese students as well, and a lot of international students who do work for pre-engineering or in the sciences end up teaching biology, chemistry, physics as well. So definitely opportunities for international students. And like I said before, you're not going to be the first student who has this question or has these needs, and you're not going to be the last.
Yeah, just to follow up with what Matt said, I mean, it is within the student visa, there are regulations that dictate, and students are allowed to work on campus. And then, what Stuart had mentioned with assistantships at the grad level, teaching assistant, research assistant, and then off-campus work opportunities are limited within the student visa to CPT and OPT. And a lot of students, especially in STEM fields, will pursue those OPT opportunities after graduation. I think that's one of the things that's really attractive about the US. Any student, international student, that when they graduate, they're legally allowed to stay up to 1 year post-graduation to work in their field. And if it's a STEM field, that could be extended up to 3 years. So that is another way to not only invest in kind of their professional area, but also earn money potentially that can kind of help with that financial investment.
Thank you. Some of the questions are coming from our Facebook page. There's a student asking, have the amount of mature students over the last 5 years, what percentage of mature students are present? Maybe you have understanding of this question.
I do, I just don't know what that percentage would be.
All right.
The question is.
I mean, I will say, I speak to students, obviously the majority of students that we all speak to are, high school graduates if they're looking for their bachelor's, or, they're in their 20s if they're looking for their master's, etc. That said, I was speaking to a 28, 29-year-old a few weeks ago who was looking to start his first bachelor's degree. So, absolutely the opportunities do exist. There is no age limit at the upper end on education. So if students are interested in pursuing opportunities, 100% they're there. You don't have to feel like you're definitely not going to be the only mature student on campus. Certainly somewhere like USF, there are going to be a decent number of students across a wide age range. And I think every year, most universities in the US, you'll see, we celebrate that, that 80-year-old who just graduated with his bachelor's degree kind of thing. It's always a big news article for a lot of institutions. So
I just think that one quick thing to add, I think if you're an international student, depending on the country that you're coming from, it might be hard to secure a student visa if you are a mature student. I know at least in Kenya, it can be a challenge for kind of a non-traditional older student to be approved for a student visa. So I guess my recommendation would be to look at the online programs that are available. Some of the N2 universities offer fully online programs that students can do as bachelor's degrees, and perhaps they look at doing a master's degree in the United States, for example. So that would be my add-on.
Thank you so much. The kind of questions that we have, that we've been having, the student support services at your respective schools, we have got a lot that is covered. I don't want to be taking it one by one. Some of students will ask about safety on campus. Other students are worried about the COVID-19 pandemic and the reforms for schools. I know that what I've been seeing as I've been trying to reach out to many universities now, right on website, there's something that is written as like a welcome to answer some questions. But I just wanted to check if you want to highlight some of the ones that couldn't be necessarily be out there. We just need to know. Basically, we talk about safety on campus, COVID-19, the effects and reforms that have happened. And also, if we do have anything like racial discrimination, it has been one thing that has been happening since all these things that have been happening, both in, not just in the United States, even in South Africa, we do have our own. So I just don't want to be doing one by one. We can just cover it all. Thank you.
Okay, I'll dive in. And I'll talk about COVID-19. I think that's obviously the most current, or one of the most current questions at the moment. I think every institution has addressed this slightly differently, depending on the local circumstances, depending on their own sort of leadership's approach, philosophy to how to handle this. I will say that every institution, the health, safety, well-being of the student population is the number one priority. Obviously, a close priority to that is ensuring that students are able to complete or start their studies and maintain, that educational track they have in mind. So here at USF, the campus has reopened. We have returned to campus. That said, a large proportion of our students are studying online. And even the students that have returned to campus are taking probably about 60% of their classes online as well. And so we are limiting, contact. I've been on the campus a couple of days and it's very different to last, fall. It's you drive on it like, oh, I've got a parking space. Yeah, that never happens. And so, I think the experience for students is very different, but it's been driven from we want to keep them safe, but we also want to keep them on track educationally so they can start or complete that degree that they're investing in. And I think that would be mirrored across. Some institutions have taken decisions to go 100% online before they even start. some institutions, I mean, here at USF, we're already planning that the last 2 weeks will be 100% online for everybody. So we've already got a plan for when we will switch to 100% online already built into the semester. So a lot of planning, a lot of work has gone into what this semester looks like for students. We don't know yet what January will look like. That's still a work in progress. But I think with what we've done this year, we have a model that we can use for the future.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think a lot of institutions have learned a lot very quickly. It's impressive to see how the world has adapted very quickly when you factor in our universities are residential and we have students living on campus. You know, to Stuart's point, I think part of it's going to depend on the region and kind of how it's affected by COVID or not. But then also each individual institution takes their own kind of approach. So for example, like at St. Louis University, we have a school of medicine and a public health school. So we're able to lean on our own faculty resources to help, you know, kind of plan for our approach, which is hybrid. So we have kind of in-person and online, and that resource capability kind of helped us just having experts in the field. So that's been good. I think the other question that you raised, Alice, and this is something that we always hear when we travel to Africa, is about discrimination and, you know, being in the United States. And I always kind of, I tell students, you know, that is something that we as administrators can understand, and we can talk about our local environments and our on-campus kind of approach to this. For example, many schools do a really good job of diversity and inclusion. I can specifically speak for SLU. You know, we are based in the Jesuit faith, and social justice is paramount to the experience at SLU, and kind of diversity and racial inclusion. But then when you look at, you know, just Alice, you were in St. Louis. St. Louis is a historically white and Black city, and a lot of kind of Eastern European immigration. And, you know, a lot of things have happened here. The discussion is very open. And that's, I think, having lived in Latin America and gone to school there, you know, which is a very different region and very generalizing here, but Latin Americans, I say, oh, you know, racism only exists in America. It is all over the world. We're just more open about it, and we talk about it, and we have institutional structures and to put it in the open. And I think what people abroad often see is the media, which there are bad things that happen, but there are bad things that happen all over the world. But we have social structures in place that put it out in the open. And a lot of the kind of movements start here. And I think that is impressive. And so while none of us can guarantee that something may not happen to a student, what we can guarantee is that our institutions do have a lot of layers of support and mechanisms in place to ensure inclusivity, diversity, open dialogue, open forums. So maybe not the best answer, but you know, that's how we approach, you know, I think as Americans, as administrators at institution, is that openness. Let's talk about it. Let's put it out there. If that helps answer that question.
Just to add on from the Drew side of things. So in terms of safety, Madison was ranked as one of the top 100 safest small cities in the United States. And then when Black Lives Matters came along, we actually posted on our social media, there was a lot of protests around the community in Newark, New Jersey, probably around 20 minutes away, that were very peaceful. Made the news that showed a lot of respect between police and the Black Lives Matter protesters. So in terms of kind of racial harmony, I'd say, yeah, things aren't necessarily perfect in the United States, but in our small little pocket in northern New Jersey near the New York City area, people shouldn't feel afraid to walk outside or just live their normal daily lives. With COVID-19 in particular, we have no cases of staff, students, faculty, anyone at all that have been given COVID-19 at all. We have students right now, some international students are living on campus in very socially distanced, designed, strict areas for individuals so that we have everything taken care of on that end. We are anticipating to go back to campus in the spring. If things change, then obviously we will be planning online, but the safety of our students and our faculty and our staff come first. And we will be making changes, and we'll be making program adjustments and updates and letting everyone know what's happening as the situation develops, because honestly, I wouldn't be comfortable making a call for something in 4 months today, let alone probably until the beginning of December. And a lot of, I know, public schools in the New Jersey area, they're supposed to open up in the next week, week and a half. Some of them are still making decisions. Some of them have just announced as well. So it is an evolving situation, but I do want everyone to know we take the safety of our students and our families and staff and faculty very seriously. And that's our first and foremost priority.
And
then
Alice,
just
to add
Go ahead,
to what Matt was saying, I think historically, universities in the US have offered students flexible options, but that's even more so the case now. And what we've been kind of guiding students is to say, continue with your study plans. And if for some reason, the next intake you are not comfortable for whatever reason, you can always defer. And universities are much more flexible with those kind of policies. And I know all of ours have been as well, or even online modality to start and then switching to campus. So I would say, the best recommendation is continue as normal with your search, your application processes. And then when it kind of starts coming to the time of pre-departure, really making those decisions in collaboration with your families and the institution of kind of what is the right decision for you at that time. But that flexibility is really important to remember during this time of COVID, because like Matt said, right now, our campuses look great, but next week it could change. And then the week after that, we hope it doesn't, but flexibility is really what we can offer at this point, I think.
Laura, I don't want to close you out. You were looking like we're about to say something.
I was just going to say exactly what Ryan had said, is to continue on with your study plans. And, if the goal is to study in the United States, let's help get you there. The other thing that I want to reiterate is across into universities, but I think the other 4,000 universities across the board in the United States would all say you are welcome here. International students bring such a unique depth and wealth of experience and perspectives that really help shape the universities and the domestic US students that they're interacting with and the faculty that they're interacting with. So bottom line is you are welcome here in the United States.
Wow, this is amazing. We just got it, and now I have to go and type my notes so that I can store them in a way that they can. This is too much. I don't want to say information overload, because it is so appreciated. It is so much appreciated. Thank you so much for even answering so many questions that are outside your presentation, because you are aware. As we travel, we also go out, we have questions that we have to answer. Some of them, they are not actually, specifically ours, but we have to answer for the rest of other people. Thank you for taking this presentation so well. Africa is proud to have you. We are hoping that in the near future, we'll see you in person. We already spoke about where to start when you come this side, so that you collect your blessings. Matt, don't start in Stellenbosch. Start around, we will give you some blessings before you start running around. But thank you so much for what you have brought to us today. Africa is always appreciative, because I know that to you it's morning time. You get up like you're thinking twice, your alarm clock is like there, because you don't want to miss this time. We're almost ending, it's almost end of the day to us, but to you, you get up so early because you want to see this happen. May our students, may the parents who are watching and listening, may the counselors do what they have to do. All of us as advisors do what we have to do to support these students, because the universities in the United States come to us to say we're available. I like these things saying you are welcome here. That is what other thing that we need to hear. When somebody said you are welcome, you just take off your coat, because you know that, okay, somebody was expecting me when I was coming. To you, Laura, Stuart, Matt, and Ryan, you did well. We are going to continually touch on into university partnerships more and more. And even if you come here as an individual or group or whatever, let us know so that we continue making, want to have a feast when you come down here now and enjoy your presence in Africa. We're going to move beyond virtual now and come in person. So thank you so much for what you are doing and sharing the opportunities. It's, you know, somebody can easily go to website and get this, but if it's coming from the enthusiastic officer coming and putting it clear for us, we cannot miss it. Because remember, as teachers, we know there are people who are good at visual and read. The people who are listening well, they got a lot of stuff today. Thank you for taking time to prepare, getting up early, meeting, and making sure that this presentation was the best ever. We respect you and we salute you. Thank you again. I don't know if you have got anything from your side as we close, and we thank you.
Just a very big thank you. On behalf of my colleagues, on behalf of Into University Partnerships, thank you for allowing us to spend the last hour and some minutes talking about what we can offer and the importance of the university experiences for students.
Thank you. We will do two things. We will share with you the stats of whoever was around so that you can know what is happening, the recorded one, and also the report that we send to our supervisors and also to Washington. So we'll share with you so that you can give feedback to your offices. We truly appreciate you. Thank you so much. All the best. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.